Straight ahead at 5, the heavy rain expected to clear soon. Chris has the futurecast for the weekend.
An Oklahoma couple had to be rescued when their car stalled in floodwaters.
And one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time, a Texas legend, decides to call it a career. News 12 at 5 starts now.
Live from 12 Studios, this is News 12 at 5.
And a very pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to News 12 at 5 o'clock. I'm Jeff Eliasoph.
And I'm Caroline Fletcher. We begin with breaking news out of Ardmore.
A jury just reached a verdict in the trial of a local attorney. A Carter County jury has found Jason May, seen there, not guilty on all counts. He faced 5 felony counts of filing a false or forged document relating to a 2019 case. In 2022, May discovered and brought to light a hidden camera inside the Carter County Jail in an attorney-client room. Now, we're going to hear from Mr. May himself and have more on the conclusion of this week-long trial coming up on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Turning to weather now, we are expecting all the heavy rain to clear pretty soon.
What a relief. And maybe a chance, Chris, for some folks to get a good night's sleep. That was loud last night.
Finally, yeah, it was a loud night, but we do have better weather on the way starting this afternoon or this evening, and that's going to continue moving into the weekend. So just in time for the weekend, I feel like most of the time we have a nice work week, and then when we get to the weekend, we see the rainy conditions, but that's not the case. It's the flip as we move into this weekend, and we're already starting to see some partly sunny skies there in Sherman. This is a live look. You can see Midway Mall there in the background, Parkway, traffic moving pretty nicely out there with those sunny conditions or those partly sunny conditions, and heading out west along I-35 as well in Carter County. There in Ardmore, you can see this is a live look from the Holiday Inn Tower Cam. We're doing pretty well. No rain is falling to the west of I-35. We have drier air moving in. Notice those northerly winds, and you can see that we have the relative humidity now starting to fall from that 80 to 90% down into the 50s and 60s, and that is indicative of the drier air moving in that is allowing for that rain to push to the south of Texoma. Temperatures pretty nice where we've had more in the way of sunshine. Temperatures in the low 70s, 70 in Ada right now, 72 in Pauls Valley, 68 in Durant, 68 in Sherman-Denison. Temperatures tomorrow morning going to be cool in the upper 40s and lower 50s, maybe 1 or 2 mid 40s. Tomorrow afternoon looking pretty nice. We'll have a look at that full weekend forecast and that 7-day coming up here in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Chris. Power is coming back on for people in southern Oklahoma who lost electricity during this morning's storms. The bulk of the outages are in Pushmataha County, where 950 people are without power. This is more than 400 in Bryan County and 130 in Marshall and Choctaw counties.
An update now on a voluntary evacuation order in Waurika. This is in Jefferson County. Water levels at Waurika Lake are nearly 10 feet above normal, and it's only about a foot away from the levels where the Army Corps of Engineers would need to open the dam. Yesterday, the city issued a voluntary order for those who are at risk for flooding down from the lake. Now, once the dam is opened, if that happens, evacuations will become mandatory. The Jefferson County Fair Building will serve as a shelter.
Another park at Lake Texoma is underwater. Catfish Bay in Kingston closed due to high water. These photos were taken near the Rooster Creek Bridge and Joe's Campground. State park officials say the closure is for the Catfish Bay campground.
Near Mansville, the Greasy Bend Bridge across the Ouachita River is closed because of flooding. The Johnston County Emergency Management Office says it will continue to watch the water levels there. Nearby, this is Greasy Bend Road at Highway 1 near Ravia. The road completely underwater now, as you see.
Lawton is also experiencing flooding this week, with many roads there covered with water. Yesterday, a couple had to be rescued after their car stalled when they drove onto a flooded street. Authorities say they were glad they had the training and equipment to help them get to safety.
Any call it comes to, we hope for the best and try to expect the worst.
I mean, whether it be wildfires, or the occasional water rescue, we try to equip ourselves with everything we need to help the citizens of Comanche County, and as it shows with this, when we had the proper equipment and we were able to effect a rescue.
They urge all residents to be mindful of the water and always turn around, don't drown.
Another instance where a driver attempting to drive through a flooded road was caught on camera. This is in Stevens County in the town of Velma. A pickup driver tried to get through deep water covering a street. The National Weather Service posted a warning online reminding drivers never to go around barricades. Officials at the Denison Dam are reminding about a closure there. Now, it's not because of flooding in this instance. The Texas side of the dam is temporarily closed. The Army Corps says this includes the campsite, fishing, and day use area. It is because of needed construction in that area.
Work we've been doing for bank stabilization, and we've got some road work planned over the next few weeks that requires us to close this roadway for access because we are replacing the culverts underneath the road. So please, everyone, adhere to the road closed signs. Be patient with us and be cognizant of the dangers that occur down here within this construction zone, and give us time to get it done, and we'll have it back open as soon as possible.
The closures will last about 3 weeks, he says. The Oklahoma side, well, that is still wide open for visitors.
The Coast Guard is scrambling to mitigate the damage from an oil and natural gas leak off the Louisiana coast. An underwater well in Plaquemines Parish ruptured nearly a week ago. Officials say the breach sent oil shooting into the air above the surface like a geyser. The well is in a remote location, complicating efforts to plug the leak and stop the spread.
It is actively releasing, so it is actively spraying into the environment. We have taken additional measures to try and reduce that spray as much as possible to make sure that we have the best efforts to contain what is being released.
Authorities say at least 30,000 gallons of an oily water mixture have been collected. The Coast Guard says the well was capped in 2016, deepening this mystery on the Delta.
One man hospitalized, another in jail after a reported stabbing in Paris today. Police say they responded to a call about a dog attack, but it turns out the man had actually been stabbed in the neck. They found the suspect, 48-year-old Randy Graham, a few blocks away and arrested him. No word on the condition of the victim as of this afternoon.
The second pursuit suspect, who was on the lam in Love County, has been arrested. The sheriff's office says they got a tip he was spotted near Neshoba and Old Town Road, and using drones, officers found him hiding in a field behind some dead trees. He faces charges in both Texas and Oklahoma. His arrest comes a day after the woman suspect authorities were also looking for was found injured and taken into custody.
Well, President Donald Trump has signed an executive order aimed at cutting money to NPR and PBS.
But it's not clear that the president has the authority to make such orders. Fox reporter Mike Emanuel has more from Washington.
If you're a fan of Frontline or All Things Considered, you might need to find a new favorite show. President Trump signed an executive order on Thursday that would end all federal funding to both PBS and NPR, accusing both networks of, quote, spreading racial woke propaganda disguised as news. It's the latest move in an ongoing attempt by Trump to remake American culture by going after institutions he deems too liberal, including the Kennedy Center and the National Endowment for Humanities.
That is incredibly problematic when you talk about children's programming that includes a drag queen, when you talk about documentaries pushing reparations and white privilege.
But the funding, which flows through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, has already been appropriated by Congress, and Democrats on Capitol Hill say they'll fight to keep it.
The decision to attack Big Bird and the Cookie Monster, I mean, it's just a strange thing.
The heads of both PBS and NPR have pushed back on accusations they have a liberal slant, telling lawmakers last month public media plays a crucial role in American life.
It's our job to deliver truthful facts and information so citizens can make up their own minds.
But some say the funding freeze was inevitable as the White House pushes forward with its cost-cutting agenda.
Those things were once sacred cows. Now there are no more sacred cows.
The Corporation for Public Broadcasting sued President Trump earlier this week for firing 3 out of its 5 members of its board of directors. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Still ahead this afternoon, an Oklahoma angler makes a record catch.
Look at that. And the great Luka Doncic may be out of the playoffs, but he's still involved in his new community. You're watching News 12 at 5.
The Memorial Day Super Sale is on now at...
Time for your money. So let's go to Wall Street. Well, the folks at Carnival setting sail. Stocks have recaptured all the losses since the tariffs were first announced. How about that? The Dow jumped 564 points today. The Nasdaq gained 266, and the S&P 500 index rose 82 points on this Friday afternoon. Auto buyers will soon feel the squeeze of President Donald Trump's auto tariffs. The 25% tax on imported vehicles and auto parts takes effect tomorrow. Now, in an attempt to soften the blow, the Trump administration announced it will spare auto parts from a so-called double tariff after Trump imposed a tax on foreign metals. Now, in spite of the concessions, U.S. automakers predict a rough road ahead. General Motors, for example, this week warning shareholders tariffs could cost the company $5 billion this year.
The labor market is proving its resilience with a better-than-expected jobs report and unemployment holding steady. Employers added 177,000 jobs in April, and unemployment remained steady at 4.2%. But economists are still bracing for the full impact of the tariffs, and analysts say hiring is tepid in areas like media, finance, and tech. And the president's tariffs could affect graduating college seniors looking for jobs.
Companies have pressed pause. What that means is they are waiting to see how the tariff situation is going to impact their hiring.
According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, hiring expectations have dropped from the fall survey.
The real ID deadline. Check that wallet and that driver's license. We've been talking about that for some time. The deadline's here. Starting Wednesday, you'll need one to get into some government buildings or pass through airport security.
The TSA encourages flyers who don't have an advanced ID to show up at least 3 hours early. Chris Van Cleve reports.
It's a checkpoint countdown at airports across the country. The TSA says about 1 in every 5 flyers is showing up without a compliant ID, meaning they could be in for major travel troubles when the real ID requirements kick in on Wednesday.
We're all hands on deck.
Adam Stahl is acting as the deputy TSA administrator.
We're very confident that we can thread the needle of both enforcing the law while also minimizing impacts for folks.
TSA officers will use a secondary process to try to confirm the identity of flyers without a real ID, passport, or other compliant identification, but that can take time.
You may face additional wait times at the airport in extremely rare circumstances if we cannot identify or validate your identity, denial.
A CBS News data analysis found in 30 states, fewer than 70% of eligible residents have a real ID. In 17 states, the compliance rate is less than half. Congress mandated the new, more secure identification cards 20 years ago in the wake of 9/11. You can tell if you have one by the gold or black star in the corner. Pennsylvania Transportation Secretary Mike Carroll.
We have tens of thousands of folks weekly that are showing up at our driver's license centers to get the real ID. It's a real challenge for us right now because folks have waited until the last minute.
The looming deadline has sparked long lines nationwide, like here outside Nashville.
Look, I sent my husband at 8 o'clock and I came at 10. That's how you do that. That's how you do that.
At this point, if you don't have a real ID compliant form of identification, use your passport when traveling or if you need to get into federal government buildings. In fact, experts say keep using this perhaps for the next couple of months until the lines die down at the DMVs. There are a handful of other IDs that you can use to get through airport security. They are all posted at tsa.gov. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
After days of wet, stormy weather, improved weather just in time for the weekend, but there is another storm system I'm keeping an eye on. I'll have a look at that 7-day forecast and that weekend forecast coming up on the other side of the break.
Because of
Well, we've made it to the weekend and we've made it to drier weather. You can finally sleep tonight without those storm chances. This is a live look in Sherman. This is from our Sherman Tower cam. You can see Midway Mall there in the background, and you can also see that we have partly sunny skies, a big change from really what we've seen over the past several days. We've had rounds of rain and storms, severe weather, flooding, but that's no longer the case. Not seeing any storms out there at this hour, which is great news. And our temperatures are responding to the sunnier skies. We're now at 68 in Sherman and in Denison, so temperatures have gone up from the mid 60s to the upper 60s over the past couple of hours. And it's clear to see on the map where we have the upper 60s and lower 70s, 72 in Ada, 72 in Pauls Valley. That's where we're seeing more in the way of sunshine, where we have temperatures a little bit cooler, 60 63 in Paris, 64 in Hugo. Still quite a bit in the way of cloud cover, even a few showers, but the showers are on the downward trend because we have a cold front that's pushed all the way down into central and eastern parts of Texas. This is where you have that unstable atmosphere, showers and storms all the way from the hill country into central Texas, the Brazos Valley, far eastern Texas. But our severe threat is completely over for at least the next 3 days. So that's the great news around Texoma. And we're seeing the drier air moving. So we have those northerly winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so not too breezy. And that's really starting to bring in that drier air. The relative humidity has fallen into the 50s and 60s, and that's going to continue overnight into your Saturday morning. And it's going to be a cool Saturday morning. You may want to grab a long sleeve before you step outside, you take the dog on a walk, grab the cup of coffee. We're going to see temperatures upper 40s, lower 50s, 1 or 2 mid-40s from Duncan to Pauls Valley, Ada, Sulphur. Going to be a little bit cool out there. Some morning fog is possible, especially in those low-lying areas. But by tomorrow afternoon, upper 60s, lower 70s. So a really comfortable afternoon with low relative humidity. It would be a good day to maybe go out in the garden, do some yard work, but it's still going to be pretty saturated because of all the rain. And we're seeing the nice weather because we have some ridging that's going to build over the plains in between a big low pressure to our east, a low pressure out of the west coast. And this is going to keep the weather pretty quiet here around Texoma for Saturday, Sunday into Monday. But that low pressure over the west coast starts to move into the Four Corners as we move into Tuesday, and that's going to send a little system our way Tuesday. Rain chances increase, and once this low pressure zips to the north and the northern plains, we see additional storm chances moving into the middle and end of the upcoming week. And with all the rain we've seen, we've noticed that elevation increased to nearly 624 feet at Lake Texoma. That's a 1.25 foot change over the past 24 hours. 1.1 million gallons per second is draining into the lake out of the Red River and all the other creeks and streams. And the lake's going up another 10 feet over the next few days. Expected crest at 633 feet, which is just 7 feet below this spillway. If you are going out fishing tomorrow, be careful. A lot of debris in the water. Water temperature at 63 at Lake Texoma. Best time to go fishing tomorrow morning around sunrise, just after sunrise and near sunset tomorrow evening. Again, be careful. Some of the currents are going to be pretty swift, debris in the water. So keep that in mind if you're going out fishing, especially boating. We're going to see temperatures really nice over the weekend. We'll be in the low 70s for highs. Lows kind of cool. Upper 40s, lower 50s. Rain chances do start to increase. So overnight Monday into Tuesday, and we hold on to those rain chances for your Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Stay tuned. Sports coming up next.
You or a loved one has mesothelioma.
Welcome back. The NBA's winningest coach of all time is walking off the court. Hall of Famer Greg Popovich announced that he has stepped away from leading the San Antonio Spurs. He is the NBA's career wins leader with 1,422 regular season victories, and he's won 5 NBA championships. A lot of celebrating in the Alamo City over the years. He's also a 3-time NBA Coach of the Year. Popovich suffered a mild stroke, you may know, back in November. He will move to a new position with the team as president of basketball operations. Every Texan, every basketball fan wishes him well.
Absolutely. Happy trails to him. Luka Doncic is opening his wallet after one of the original Kobe and Gigi Bryant murals in downtown Los Angeles was vandalized this week. The LA Lakers guard donated $5,000 to cover the entire amount being asked for in a GoFundMe created by the artist. Kobe Bryant spent his entire 20-year career with the Lakers. Doncic, as you know, joined the Lakers less than 3 months ago in a blockbuster trade that rocked the Dallas Mavs fan base.
Still rocking around here. Well, get ready for hats, horses, and a whole lot of gambling. The 151st Kentucky Derby is this weekend in Louisville. The hooves hit the ground at Churchill Downs on Saturday, tomorrow. First leg of this year's Triple Crown. A horse named Journalism, one of our favorites around here, is in fact the 3-to-1 morning line favorite.
Talk about a fishtail. An Oklahoma fishing guide has landed another world record, beating the mark he set 2 years ago. Brian Baker, owner of Spoonbill Wrecker's Guide Service, caught an 118-pound, 10-ounce big head carp at Grand Lake in northeastern Oklahoma. Baker made headlines in 2023 when he first broke the world record. The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation says big head carp are an invasive species, and if you catch one, go ahead and report it to them. Do not throw it back. We'll be right back after the break with a final check of the forecast.
Whether you're buying or
We'll get one last look at that 7-day forecast. We have a nice weekend on tap. High temperatures in the 70s, low 70s, low relative humidity, light winds. Overnight lows will be cool in the upper 40s.
All right, with 3 days of sunshine, that's probably the
take it.
best 7-day I've seen in a while.
Love it. Big smiles around here.
Yes.
Thanks for watching at 5.
Come back and see us again at 6. Good afternoon.